Hello there, Matt Petrowski here. All right, we are going through a series of videos where we're learning both Sketchup and a plugin called the Medeek plugin. I'm doing that in this video. I'm building my own home in Sketchup, and I'm saving some money doing it. Doesn't mean that you don't consult with an architect. I'm not a licensed architect. I'm not a home builder. Biggest claim to fame I have is that I'm the son of a general contractor, and so I was just familiar with how not scary building your own house is. But if you're in technology and you're into computers like I am, then you can use SketchUp to build your own house. And I'm just showing you how I have learned to do that within SketchUp and giving all the different possible tips, tricks, and knowledge in order to do it. Let's go to my desktop and get over there and take a look at what we're looking at. All right, so here we are. In all of the previous videos that I've talked about, how to move your camera and do it fluidly while you're developing, and we're now at the point where I am going to show you the critical part, which is organizing your model and doing it from the outset. We have our floor plan. I talked to you about how I put those on a particular layer, or a tag as they call this now. I put them on areas. Now that's going to allow me, once you pretty much have your areas on for your floor plan, they never stay like that. You're always moving walls and rearranging things as you're looking at the orientation from different angles and different perspectives, but this is the tag that I use in order to keep my areas. Then I have predominantly an exterior and an interior. And then within that, there will be additional layers. Of course, with 2021, this folder really helps me out because it allows you to create one folder for each floor of your build. So in my build right now, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to get rid of everything that I have been developing here. Don't want to get rid of my front treatment. And we'll go and we'll just simply enclose all of those, which we learned in a previous video how to make selections and be able to get rid of them. We are going to work with my actual model now, and I'm going to go through the different parts of this model. In fact, as I'm shooting this series, if you are if you're a builder, if you are an architect, if you're a civil engineer, if you see things in this, understand I am not in the building industry. I am a computer developer, and I simply just know how to use this software. And I'm familiar with, because of how software works, how to do things. So hopefully I'm teaching you how to use SketchUp and the tools that it provides if you're a builder or architect and you haven't used them, and you can teach me about the building process. Just leave your comments, good or bad, and subscribe to the video. All right, so let's go through my layers. First off, the Medeek plugin uses its own layers. In fact, it doesn't come with them turned on by default, and you need to turn them on. Second, you are going to be using your own layers. Now, the great thing about the Medeek plugin, and unfortunately I haven't used the other plugin, which is Framer from John Brock, it tags everything. And with all of that information, you are able to get out all of your costing information. I'm able to find out down to the micromillimeter how much linear feet of lumber I have in all of the different walls that I'm creating in my home here. Another video for another time. We'll take a look at that, but we're going to go through how I got to this process. You can see over here that I don't have what's called a valley here on this particular object. Let's talk about the Medeek plugin and how it factors into building your house. The Medeek plugin creates the rough objects that you need, but it does not create the fine details that a finished documents are going to have. Case in point right here. You can see that this roof clearly extends directly into the rest of my house. At this stage, I'm okay with that. But at a future point, I will need to modify all of this object and be able to get rid of it so that the roof lines blend and all of the framing is exactly perfect. We will take a look at that. It's advanced part of it. But for right now, we're just getting the walls onto our floor plan. So I'm going to turn off my roof, turn off my floor 2, and turn off my floor 1. Turn off my front options. We'll talk about that and how that factors in. And we're just going to go down to my basement and talk about the walls themselves and things moving around. Now, the one thing that I've learned is when you're going to design your house, Medeek has a number of extensions. In fact, when we go to them here, I've got two of them of the three that I have installed: the Medeek Truss, Medeek Wall, and then the Medeek Foundation. You will not need the Medeek Truss and the Medeek Foundation until you're pretty close to exactly what you want. Those are tools that you use after you've pretty much got your rough plan, your floor plan, figured out. However, Medeek Wall you will want to use initially. So what I did is I simply, if we take a look at the bottom of my model, I simply took my floor plan and then I merged everything together and made one solid face, knowing that I had my areas. Now let's turn on my areas and see if they're actually coming on. There, I just have them in my little studio. My first floor, it's my mother-in-law suite, is where things are going to be. So what I did is, we can see that right there, when I was showing you the floor plan and creating the areas, I wanted to be able to see what is the square footage. So this tag that I have of areas are all of those individual floor plan pieces. Originally, I had the labels on, like I showed you to put the labels on in a previous video. And when I double click here, I can select on this, and what I can use it for is to see what is my square footage. What is the area that I'm giving this particular area of the house? So this is a combined little kitchen area and dining family room area for this little studio apartment in the basement area of my home. So that's a relatively good number, 500 square feet. And then I can click on the bedroom area and see the bedroom is going to be 233 square feet. So if you're not familiar with the square footage of things, you can always use the tape measure and measure things off. But the great thing is here, if I wanted to turn off the interior walls, I can turn off the interior walls. Well, I can't turn them off right here. This is an important thing. I can't turn them off because it is set as my layer where I am designing things. So this is a great segue. You cannot hide the current active area in SketchUp. And the current active area where you are building things does matter. So I'm going to select the untagged area, which formerly was known as layer 0, so that I can turn off my interior walls and my exterior walls in order to be able to see my areas. So I can see this is my my closet. I can see this is my bedroom. This is all of the things that I have. And in fact, you can see when you compare to the previous video that I chopped out the walls, or I came in after the walls were added and re-added these areas. But if I turn off the areas and we go back to the interior and the exterior walls, what becomes important in terms of these layers and the Medeek plugin is how it works. So the Medeek plugin you're going to find here on the Macintosh. In order to show the plugin, I don't have it turned on. If we go to the extensions menu and we go to the Medeek Wall and just select Wall, this is just activating the one tool. It does not activate the palette or the toolbar. On Windows, what you're going to do is you can right-click in this area. When I right-click here on the Macintosh, I get this menu that deals only with the Macintosh. But when you right-click in the top area on Windows, you get a list of all of the possible toolbars that you have access to. On the Macintosh here, we can go to the View, which I don't know why it's in the View, but you have to view a tool palette and turn on the palette that you want if you've already turned it off. So if you accidentally made it go away, you're going to want to turn it on, and I want the Medeek Wall plugin. Now that is just going to be the wall plugin itself, but I also want to be able to use some of the other tools, the wall tools, which this is, and we'll go over these individually for this video so that we become familiar. And go with one more. I don't think I need one more. Oh, there are the stairs right there. I need to turn that on. I think these two will do for the wall plugin for what we're going to do in this video. So with the walls, let's go through the Medeek plugin and see how cool it is. So we have walls. We have gable walls, we have windows. Let's see if tooltip comes up. It does not here on the Macintosh. Hopefully on Windows, on Windows side of things, it does. Windows, doors, garage doors. Then we have, I forget what this is. Tools, we've got our calculator and our settings. Let's go ahead and click this and see what it is. I don't know what that did, or it didn't come up with anything. I haven't actually used that yet in my development, but as I discover it, we'll go through it. Here is one of the most important things, and that is on most of the Medeek plugins, this one thing is the settings. The settings is important because you want to turn on all of the labels. All of the labels or layers, tags, I'm calling them labels. They recently renamed them tags, but all SketchUp users are used to them called layers, is we want to turn them on. So here in the plugin, this is the most, what I think of as the most important thing. Everything else is by default, you can get started with really quickly, but the layers right here, when you click on this particular tab, you want, this initially is turned off, and you want to turn the wall layers on, and then beyond that, you may even want to turn on the advanced wall layers. Now, the only thing this is going to do is as you build walls, it's simply going to associate all of the individual components of the walls into their own named layers or tags. What's really cool about this is down the road, what we're going to be able to see is we can get this information out of the Medeek plugin or out of our model. Medeek plugin assigns them to these tags, and then we're going to be able to get that into a separate program. It's a program that I create for myself. I'm a developer in the world of FileMaker. It's a desktop database, but more than able to handle multi-million record rows. And I can create my own estimating or job costing program because Medeek puts everything on these walls. So it's really pretty cool. You can find out how much it's going to cost you for your drywall, how much it's going to cost you for your insulation, pretty much everything. And I know that the Estimator plugin does this, and it does it really well in conjunction with the Framer, but I just happen to have purchased the Medeek plugin, and that's what I'm using first. So once we turn on the advanced and the wall layers, and remember you have to click your save settings, you save your settings, you close this, you're ready to start basically rendering walls. Now, as I stated in the previous video, we always want to be sure that we are going to, well, you don't have to, but I like to be sure that I am going to build my walls so that the framers don't have to work as hard. I'm going to take into account standard stud heights and then adjust them accordingly. So I think my basement here is a 9-foot wall, and we are going to be able to, any wall that we create with Medeek, we're going to be able to select and choose this edit wall assembly. Once we edit the wall, what it does is it brings up all of the settings of that wall. In this case, I know that I need to adjust my basement. In fact, I'm going to be adding a second bottom plate because I'm going to have floating insulation or a floating floor in here because I want to insulate the basement floor. Currently, this is a 9-foot wall, but all of the things that you can control on the walls are things that you have to learn about. It's things that I had to learn about. What type of insulation are you going to use in the walls? How thick are your walls, depending on your temperature zone? I've talked about all of that in the previous video, but what we're going to learn about is saving your walls and then editing your walls. So in here, once you've got one initial wall, what you can do is with all of the settings is you're going to click this save option and save that particular wall. Now I have a number of them currently specified, and this is just the nomenclature that I use or the way that I name it. I've got an 8i, which is 8-foot interior. I've got a 9i basement, which is currently this particular setting. And then I've got a regular 9i, which is my first floor, a 9x for my exterior, and a 9x garage, which is actually taller than a 9-foot wall. As we build the house, you'll find that you have different walls. You can simply just save those settings. So this is simply going to allow you to select something, if I want that garage, and then load it. And it's just going to load all of the different settings ready for me to draw that wall. Likewise, if I update a particular wall, I can always click after I've loaded it. So say this particular 10-foot, 6 1/4 inch wall, if I needed to adjust it by an inch, and I go ahead and type that 1 inch, I can now just click save, and I can simply save directly on top of this to replace it with the new setting. So in this case, what's going to be replaced is this value is going to replace onto that 9x, and it will not automatically update all of the walls. You have to manually go through and change those walls, but you are able to do that pretty quickly by doing it in batch. That's what's great about the Medeek plugin. And SketchUp in general, you can do things all at one fell swoop. So I'm not going to do that. Let's go ahead and close that, cancel out. Let's talk about modifying your walls, moving them and extending them. There's two ways that you can move a wall with the Medeek plugin. And moving a wall becomes super important in your floor plan because you're constantly adjusting things as you're trying to dial things in and get the budget in line and so forth. You can move the wall with the regular move tool that we have right here, but if you do that, any other connected walls won't move with it. So I'll go ahead and move this wall right here and just move it. Let's go ahead and stay on axis right there with the red, and the wall has now been moved. I could then extend this wall out here to meet this wall, and there's no problem with doing that, but it's much easier to simply just move the wall with the move function that Medeek has built in, because it will do all of those actions for you. So let's take this as an example. I want to move this wall in and save a little bit of space or make things smaller so that I don't have as much square footage. So here are the settings on this. We have the, these are all openings right here. This is the move opening. This is the edit opening. This is a delete opening. And this, I think, is the open and close. I haven't used this one because I'm just using rough openings because I haven't been using the plugin for the windows yet. In the Medeek plugin, we've got the walls, the gable wall, the window, and the doors. So the window, door, and garage door are all affected by this, the move, edit, and delete opening. Then the walls and the gable wall, these two right here, are controlled by this one, moving your wall, editing your wall. I haven't used this one, probably deleting a wall. This is stitching two walls together, and then this is extending a wall. So the two that I'm going to talk about in this video are this one, moving a wall, and extending a wall as it relates to getting things where you want them. Now, I mentioned you can move that wall, but in order to move it with the Medeek plugin, we're simply just going to click on this move. As we hover over, we can see that it says which wall do we want to move. This particular wall, you control which edge you select on. I don't know that it matters if it's on the outside or the inside edge or where it is relative, but I'll just click on this one, and you can see down at the bottom there, it's showing me the fact that I have this, and it's showing how far I'm actually able to move the wall. But like everything else, all I have to do is down here in the bottom, I can tab, sorry that's off screen a little bit, but I can simply tab and say I want to move this wall in 2 feet. And then what's going to happen is the Medeek plugin is going to do all of its calculations, and notice that it extended this wall by default and it shortened this wall, and I didn't have to mess with my corners in terms of the way that those are connected. Now, from the standpoint of design, we're really only interested in just getting the walls connected so that they show everything really nice. But once you get to the point where you absolutely need to be more specific in terms of the corner types, you of course are going to want to go to all of your corners and make sure that they are set up right. Exterior versus interior, and the whole California corner with regards to allowing insulation in walls versus not is going to become really important. So moving a wall is super easy there in terms of making changes. But the cool thing is, I think it does this in bulk. So I'm going to, if you undo something with the Medeek plugin, you'll notice that it happens in stages. Notice that it just moved that one with an undo. So if I was to go to look at the edit menu and the update and redo that is that is shown here, you'll see that it does it in stages. So I don't just have one undo in order to undo that move. You can see that I have to hit undo multiple times because all that the Medeek plugin did is it automatically did what I would have had to do manually. So there it will extend that wall. Now it will actually move that wall back. So now when I get to this, I can see that looking at my undo, the undo now is show tag. So it did that whole thing in 3 moves, which is basically what needs to be done. You need to move the actual wall, extend a wall, and then shrink a wall in order to do that. But here's the cool thing. I believe you're able to do this on multiple. I haven't done this a whole lot, but if I select this wall first, then I select the second wall, maybe even this wall. I haven't done this. We're going to do this as an experiment. Let's see what it's like to move this whole room. And I believe the plugin is so cool that it will actually do that. We'll click on the move. Am I able to move all of them? Can I select on that one? No, I can't select on multiple. I believe I've done it with some other aspect of the program, but it would be really cool if it did allow with those multiple selections to do that. So maybe that's a feature request for him. So in this case, I would have to, if I wanted to move all of these, move this one 2 feet, and then simply just select the other one and move it 2 feet as well. So I'll click on the move and then start to move it and say 2 feet and move that wall as well. So all totaled, it's not, and it went in the wrong direction. All totaled, it's not that big of a deal in order to move those walls. So the last thing I'll leave you with today is extending a wall. And you can see that I'm getting this really funky hangout here because the opening in this wall did not move as well. So I would have the option to move that wall if I wanted to. It's really pretty easy. I just click here and then just move it over, give it a little bit more room, make it come inside. Of course, you have to make room for your casing if it's a door and all kinds of stuff you have to anticipate. But extending a wall is just as easy, and it works pretty simply. So this particular wall, we'll go ahead and modify it. The extension is this option right here, and you can always extend a wall and then reconnect any other wall. So just like we did when I was showing you that you can move a wall regularly with the regular tool, let's go ahead and do that, but let's reconnect the wall. So I will move this with the regular move tool. Make sure I'm on axis right there. I've moved it, let's say I've moved it to a guide or relative to what I want. In order to get this wall to simply connect up with that wall, all we have to do is use that move tool. So I'll click on the move to, or the lengthen tool is the way that I think of it. I click, and what it's going to do is it's going to show me this green circle and this red circle. So as I back this off, I want to show you the tool stays selected. As I zoom in, notice that what I have right here is I've got this dimension. This comes on all of the Medeek tools, the foundation, the truss, and this one. It's really nice because the orientation of the words tells you what these circles are meaning. It's basically stop, go, and stop, or that's the way that I think of it. The green is the start of the wall, and the red is the end of the wall. So whenever you edit the wall, you need to know, looking at the top of the wall, that's how you're going to determine which corner you're going to modify if you're editing the wall, or so forth. But when it comes to moving this wall, as I zoom in, all I have to do is make sure that I can get my view so that I can see both parts of the wall. And I can, the first click is a selection of the wall. The second click is the point that you are going to use that's going to connect to some other place. So I could use this side and go inside, or I can use this outside. I'm going to click this one. So now it gives me a plane. And it's telling me it's got that nice little, we can see the dimensions right there, that it's showing me how far it is. Of course, I could hit the tab key and go down to the bottom area right here and put in an exact dimension. But the great thing about this plane that comes out is all you have to do is simply land on a plane. You can see that as I get closer here, it snaps right onto this plane. And as opposed to using the inside, I don't want to just stop the wall right here. Framers are going to know how all of this is going to work. But by going and interleaving them, what you're going to see is when I click right there and it extends that wall out, when I zoom and move up here, we always have the overlap, everything that connects walls together so that they really don't fall apart. So in this case, I would need to edit this wall. I believe that's the start. So I'll go ahead and choose this Edit Wall Assembly. That's what I want right there. And my corner, that is my corner start because it was green. So I go to my corner start. This is currently an inset inside corner, and I've got a corner offset currently of 5, 5. Because it's inset, I can set this to 0, click update, and it's just going to shrink that right there so that the wall actually is how it needs to be. Of course, if you are a builder or a framer, then you already know how these go together. But of course, if you're not and you're just wanting to design your own house, I don't even know if this is correct. Currently, it does not for an exterior wall. It does not look like it would be the right corner. You can tell me and tell everyone else if you are a framer or a builder what these need to be as I design them. Again, I have not even gotten to the point where I am connecting my corners correctly. If the corner comes out good enough, I'm just trying to get a front elevation so that I can pass it through the preview department, and they say, yeah, that looks like a good exterior. You're going to be able to go ahead with that. So that's going to leave me at the end of this video with this topic. There's a lot more to go through with the Medeek, of course, going through this series. The next thing that I'm going to show you is what we're going to see in the next video is this. With the Medeek plugin and with everything else that we've got going on, when we're working with a really nice, clean tag or layer system, we want to make sure that things go onto the right layer. Now, you'll notice that I have been working with the pencil icon on the untagged, or what was formerly known as layer 0. The problem with that is when I go to turn off my basement, well, I can. Those are still connected to my basement, but if I turn off the untagged, well, let's switch to the basement 0 and turn off untagged. It's not doing it in this particular case, but what will happen is you will come into situations where, let me go ahead and do it really quickly to show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if that works right there. We'll go to basement 0, we'll turn off untagged. No, it's still not doing it. There is a situation where what will happen is when you're using the Medeek plugin is you will have certain aspects of a wall will accidentally get moved into another layer. And when you're going through and you're switching on and off all of your different layers, such as I want to see my exterior walls, but I don't want to see my interior walls, then being able to turn these on and off, what you end up having to do is you end up having to reclassify them. And that's what we're going to see when we take a look at the next video, talking about the layers and how they relate to the Medeek plugin, making sure that you keep all of your walls on the proper layers so that when you turn them on and off, it actually works as you expect. So I'll see you in the next video. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.